Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. In today's episode, we are going to talk about a document assembly tool that is AI assisted. And what that means is you're compiling a document, putting pieces together and assembling a whole document, but we're going to use AI to make our lives a little bit easier. Let's look at our sample document first. This is a data security breach notification sample letter. And what this means is it's the letter that you send out to customers, clients, users if there is a security breach with your application or at your business in general. And what the purpose of this is to warn them, your information might be out there, what happened, how many people were affected, and also, depending on the state and country, you may be required to offer different things. So, for example, New York apparently could go to a consumer protection department. You may offer credit checks, credit protection, and depending on the state, you may need to provide contact information for credit agencies. So all of this is to say, when you leak somebody's personal information, one of the big fears is identity theft, and more importantly, somebody stealing, your information to use your credit cards, your finance, your money, your bank accounts, all of that. So you want to have all of the tools available to them right in the letter, saying you get 12 months free of credit monitoring. You can contact the credit agencies if something goes wrong, blah, 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 blah. You can complain to regulators. And that all depends state to state. Some of them are quite lax, and all you have to do is let them know something has gone wrong, and others require you to actually provide these services, 12 months of monitoring. So, as a result, one way you might want to put this together is you have a breach notification letter, and you kind of check off what you want to give them. Yes, you gotta describe it. Almost always you gotta describe what happened. You might want to cite the laws related to it, and then you might not check off the credit monitoring because you don't need to provide it in that state. Other examples, of course, insurance documents, contracts. I think there are so many ways you can use document assembly tools, but the best ones, I think, are the ones that governments send out. At least in Canada, they're horrifically bad because you can very clearly see that there is no transition, there is no synchronizing between the topics. It's just block of text that have nothing to do with each other going down the list. Anyways, how we're going to do this is we started off with our previous project. You could go back a little bit. This just gives us an interface to start off with, and I have the code for it right here. Now, the first things first, we could remove all the many lines that are irrelevant to us. This was a package code that allows us to compare text. We don't care about that. We could probably take out the title here and call it AI assisted document assembly tool. Okay, I still have the right scripts. Don't care about the style anymore. And we'll carry this down. I guess we'll keep it this way. Okay. So a lot of this in the middle here, the body is going to change this area. But what I envisioned was, and I probably should have set this up at the start, Bootstrap, is a checklist here. Bootstrap checklist. This one right here. You can check a form. or you could do radial boxes, but checkboxes are the right ones because you might need to select multiples. We're going to go here. And don't think I need any of this here. Okay. What I do need is right here. Diff match patch. This is irrelevant. And then this one is our call to OpenAI. Okay, so let me share what it looks like right now. Obviously, we still need work, but the idea here is I might have some sort of title and instructions here, and then you check off what is relevant, and then afterwards it spits out the text right here that you can copy and paste and edit. And I need a button somewhere down here. So I'm going to stop talking. Hopefully you guys get the idea, and let's get to work. And there we have it. Took about 15 minutes to put this together. Really quickly, I want to give a shout out to chat-gpt, which did some of the painful kind of reformatting things. So when you have checkboxes and you want it to match, it did it much quicker than if I had to type it by hand. It also gave us a sample of an OpenAI API call. We could get that off the web anyways. But what I did do was I asked it to split that sample letter. So over here we have this sample letter that we had, and I asked it to create a JavaScript dictionary so that each paragraph is given a name or title and the value. So the key is the name or description, or name or title, and then the value is a description. So they gave us this great dictionary to work with. Great place to start with, and we could talk about dealing with it in other ways, but that way we could very quickly assemble the letter. Anyways, how this works. We have a letter and we want to check off which ones we're interested in. Let's say we're in a looser state, not New York. We want the introduction and closing. We want the description. We want to tell them to protect themselves and maybe remain vigilant, but we don't need the credit reports, we don't need the additional information, none of that is necessary. So we click Generate Document. First thing it does is it throws that assembled version into console. Then it sends it to OpenAI. That's where the AI assistant comes in, and we have another version here. So I have our old text comparison here that we built previously and that this one was based off of. So this is what I got in the console, and this is the document. So let's just compare really quickly what's different. And you could see that some of the things it's done is it's added a bunch of the text and made some changes to make it read better. So once you contact one agency, they will notify. So it smoothed out the text. I don't know that that was really what I wanted to do, but it moved some of the text up and down. So in this case, at the appropriate number listed, instead of moving it further down, it moved it up. Supposedly, it took out some of these options, so instead of putting bracket closing, it just rounded it out and said in closing, please note, so good kind of transition as well. So the whole idea here is I want a letter that reads properly. It doesn't read like chunks that were put together, just mashed together, but one that transitions, that reads like a full document. Now, I have done this a couple times already just to check it out, and some of the things it does is it changed it all to square brackets, not in this variant, but just to keep it consistent. It did add a lot more of these transition phrases, and it has tried to keep a similar voice across all of these paragraphs. This one's not so apparent. We pulled it from one source, but if you are writing, say, a contract and you have different lawyers put together pieces from different years, different ages, different concerns, they start to look very disjointed. Anyways, all of that is to say that you could start putting these document assembly tools together and do one final AI pass through it to make it one cohesive, harmonized document. And that often used to be the really hard part of creating a document assembly tool. It's to write paragraphs that were so neutral that didn't affect what was above or below, that didn't have any transitions, so you don't assume where it is, but to still read properly. But now I really don't care. You can ask AI to just try and reassemble it, and it's getting better and better at doing this. This is GPT 3.5, so I think GPT 4 would have done a better job too. Now, let's go through the code here. We have our header and footer. It doesn't really matter, but in our body, what we have is just a series of checkboxes. We had one of the text areas, that was where the output is, and a button. Now, what happens when we click this button is it runs this function over here. And don't worry, I'll revoke the API key afterwards. But we're making a call. We're setting up to make a call. But most importantly, we have a prompt. And this is just off the fly. We could tweak the prompt over time. I think greater emphasis should be put on keeping the original language as intact as possible. But here's our prompt. Please take the following letter, which was put together with pieces from other letters, and rewrite it so that it is one single coherent letter. Make minimal changes to the order and the phrasing. However, you can use transition phrases and make internal references to earlier text to make the letter more seamless. One single goal to make one single letter. So we have the prompt, and then we have this function here, assemble letter. That is the classic document assembly piece that just jams them all together to one text. And then from there, we have the headers, and we have the request body, and we send it all through Ajax. So in this case, the request body is we specify the model. Then we have a couple of different messages. The first message is a system message that tells chat-gpt who you are. You're a lawyer writing legal documents. Then the next one was that prompt. And then finally, the third message to the system is that letter that we had. And then we get the response. When we get the response, we pull out the content, and we put the content into the text area. I think the interesting piece is the assemble letter, and luckily I had a lot of help from ChatGPT again. We had that letter dictionary that I was talking about before. Every piece of text was given a title, so I could search introduction, and it has this piece. Incident description, and we have this piece. Protect yourself, and we have another piece. So what we've done is we go through, we query search all of the checkboxes that have been checked, and then we go through it one at a time. Now, these checkboxes have been formatted already so that the value matches the dictionary. So we take the value, we find it in the dictionary, and then we add it to this empty string here that is the letter. And so we assemble that document that way. So once again, go through the dictionary, find each checkbox, jam it all together, then send it to OpenAI with the prompt, and together it's going to generate a response, put it into a text area. It's actually very simple when you think about it. And again, the really hard part about putting this together used to be writing the text in a very clear and neutral way. But today, much easier, because you can use AI to fudge it a little bit. And so I hope that was really interesting to watch, and hopefully you guys can all build document assembly tools yourselves. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week with another cool application to build. Bye.